video, I want to talk about the act of planning and sometimes the element of the lack thereof planning. And a little bit differently in this video, I had a meeting with my aunt last night at a beautiful dinner, and we were discussing the need that humans have to plan and to be prepared and to have everything all tied up in a sense, and how sometimes life just sideswipes you and there's nothing that you can do about it, and you can't have prepared for it, you can't have planned for it, and that's actually okay sometimes. And the actual aspects of this conversation, my aunt recently lost her husband. It was unexpected, and she said usually she has a better plan, usually she plans ahead, usually she's diligent in all ways, and has everything laid out in a way that would make her feel comfortable. And I was thinking about that, and also thinking that sometimes the lesson of the universe is that we can't plan ahead. And sometimes the lessons that we're learning are difficult lessons, and they are deeply rooted in context and contrast. Because when we are learning about the nature of love, when we are learning about the complexity of love and life and the meaning of life, part of the lesson is surrender. Part of the lesson is not always being in control. And this circles back to trust and faith. And I'm not saying that when we lose somebody that is divinely orchestrated in a way that is, I don't know how to word this correctly. When we lose somebody, it's never meant to hurt us. What it's meant to be is a catalyst of understanding. And when we can move our vantage point to this knowing that everything is energy. We are energy. Life is energy. Existence and consciousness is energy. And even in the transition from the temporal, physical, three-dimensional, organic body into that purely energetic spiritual body, we are not lost. Love is not lost. It's difficult. There's grief. There's the compounding complexities of not knowing the path ahead. And that can be extremely difficult. And it can be a huge catalyst in the lesson of faith and trust. And it's not that when we lose somebody that we need to focus on the fact that something has been taken away from us. What we need to do rather is celebrate the beautiful energy, the beautiful aspects of that individual and what they brought to our lives, and then look at how we are going to move into the next phase and stage of our own existence. And that journey can be both frightening and exciting. And so to look at it as that next chapter of self, that discovery and that blossoming that can only happen through the not knowing, through the suffering, which is truly contrast, and through the re-examination of everything in terms of our beliefs, our understanding, and what tethers us and grounds us. And that is love. That energy is love. And so I think the message I'm trying to get across is that it's not always going to be fun. It's not always going to be light and easy and without complexity. There are going to be times in your life where you feel disconnected, where you feel like a zombie, where you feel like a deer in the headlights. that is part of the journey. And we can't do the growing, we can't do the growth without these catalytic points along the journey, which force us to transform, which would force us to move into a new arena of thinking, because we need to move into new thinking in order to survive the circumstances. And so in and of that, when we're in that pain, when we're in that suffering, not to assume or not to be frustrated with the universe or God or the circumstances, but rather to understand that everything is love, everything is energy, and even our lives, as precious as they are always in transition. Our human life is not eternal. Our state in an organic body is not eternal, and that applies to each and every one of us. So in knowing that very fact, then we must accept that we are a spiritual energy, that there is something beyond us, that wherever our loved ones end up going, or whatever state they move into, they are not lost. Love is not lost. And even though in that darkness it feels like love has evaporated, that everything in terms of that relationship or that bonding is now gone because we cannot physically see it, this is where the deepest faith is cultivated. This is where the most challenging lessons of love are cultivated. So dig in, do the work, push through the pain, don't cut yourself off, cry if you must, call out if you must, pray deeply, ask deeply, immerse yourself in the grief and the misunderstanding, because through those vehicles you come to a greater understanding of the totality of everything and all that is, and the meaning of life and the meaning of love. So I'm going to wrap this video up, but I just wanted to quickly sit down and film this insight before I get started on my day, and wishing you all a beautiful Friday and a very beautiful, restful weekend ahead.